log in as guest, I won't be able to keep on admitting you guys. So you need to make sure your mic is muted. Sanele, you have to mute your mic.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
I'd like to find out with this module, is it are we going to have the classes from now until, is it a semester for this semester or also for second semester?
This is a semester module. If you take it this semester, then you'll have to write the exam in June, May, June. Then there is one for second semester, but if you pass this one, there's no need for you to register for second semester. So second semester, I will have classes for those students who will be registered for second semester.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you. Okay, before we start again, do we have any questions? Okay.
Yes, Ms. Nkomo, I just want to clarify, or maybe you will let us know, but how do we access the recordings on YouTube? Is there do we use the subject as a search filter, or is there another way? I just want to make sure that we are accessing the correct videos, and also just which is the most effective way to actually search for the videos once it becomes available.
You can access using the subject like DSC 1520, and then I will post the link on Moodle after we are done with a class, maybe today or tomorrow. So every time we are done with the class, I will post the link. But it's the same link. Yeah. And another thing, please don't forget, our first assignment is due on the 3rd next month, 3rd of March, if I'm not mistaken. Before you do the assignment, you need to do a short quiz. Ne? And another thing, if you do a short quiz, you can't move on to the assignment until you get at least 50% on the quiz. Okay, the quiz consists of just 2 questions. So you have to get at least 1 question correct for you to move on to the assignments. The quiz are not for marks. They are just there to help you to prepare for the assignments. But then again, they are compulsory because you cannot move on to the assignment unless you pass the quiz. So they are just there for your own benefits. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. As I said, today we'll cover the concepts of revenue, cost, and profit. Yeah? Okay, this is what you need to do after this class, or after you go through the recording. You should be able to answer any questions based on the revenue, cost, and profits. Like you need, if they give you a data or a scenario, you need to know how to set up a revenue function, or a profit function, or a cost function. Right. Okay, we will start from the revenue. Oh, and another thing that I need to mention is that before you move on to any complicated topic, you need to understand these concepts. In fact, all the chapters, the remaining chapters, are based on this. So if you don't understand these concepts, then it won't be easy for you to master other chapters. And yeah, assignment 1 consists of this chapter, which is linear functions and nonlinear functions. And that's like 20% of the semester mark. No, 20% of your DP. Yes, because each assignment will contribute 20%. Then toward the final mark, your assignment will contribute 20%, and then the exam will contribute 80%. But before, okay, the entrance to the exam, you need to complete assignment 1. If you don't do assignment 1, then they won't let you write the exam. And another thing, there won't be any extension for the assignment, the due dates. So you need to start doing them as soon as possible if you haven't started doing them. Okay. I said we'll start from revenue, cost, and profits. Okay, you know, the aim for any business is to make a profit, right? And in order to calculate a profit from any operation or from any product that you are selling or just from your business, you need to know the cost of the operation and the income that would be generated from that operation. Like when you want to sell phones to make a profit, first thing, you need to know the cost for a material that you will need. Then how much you're going to make when you sell the product. And another thing, oh yeah, you'll need to know the cost and how much are you going to make from that product. So the first thing that will go through is the cost, because for you to make a profit, for you to even think how much are you going to make, you need to know how much are you going to spend in that certain product or in your business if you want to start a business. Ne? So we will start from the cost. Okay. Then a cost is what you need to pay in order to get something. Like, as I said, if you want to sell phones, a cost would be that amount that you will pay to buy materials and other things for you to sell to make your product into the market. Yes. So in business, cost is an amount that you need to pay for your product to be manufactured and to be delivered to the buyer. And the cost includes the efforts, material, resources, time consumed, utilities, risk, and other you may count. So the total cost is broken down into a fixed cost and the variable cost. Okay. So for a total cost, we'll use TC. So if you are asked to find a function for a TC representing a TC, just know we are talking about the total cost. And we said the total cost is broken down into a fixed cost plus a variable cost. Ne? Okay, we'll use FC to represent the fixed cost, and we'll use VC to represent the variable cost. Okay, the fixed cost is the expense that does not change when the number of items are produced or sold. Ne? So fixed costs are expenses that have to be paid by a company, independent of any business activities. Like, let's say you want to open maybe a clothing shop, you need a venue, a space that you will use to open your business to operate your business. So since the rent will remain the same, let's say throughout the year. So January, you pay the same rent that you'll pay in February. So we consider that as a fixed cost because that cost does not change no matter what you decide to, whether you decide to extend your business or not. Let's say you start by selling jeans, and when you decide to add the t-shirt, you still use the same venue. You still have to pay the same amount. So we call that a fixed cost because it's fixed. It does not change. Then we have a variable cost. Okay, the variable cost depends on the product's output. Okay, this is a constant amount per unit produced. And this cost may include the cost of raw material, production, the cost of the utility bills, the labor cost, and sales and commission to be paid. Because okay, let's make an example for selling jeans and t-shirts. Let's say the time that you'll spend, or just the labor cost that you spend on the t-shirt, it won't be the same as the ones that you spend on the trousers, on the jeans. So that means the labor cost, it's part of the variable cost because it changes depending, it depends on the products that you're willing to produce and sell. Yeah? So the variable cost is calculated as the quantity of good produced multiplied by the cost per unit. So to represent the quantity of goods, we'll use Q, and to denote the cost per unit, we'll use C. Okay, we use C to represent the cost per unit. And we said the variable cost is calculated by multiplying the quantity of goods, which is Q, by the cost per unit, which is C. Okay? So if we have our variable cost as Q times C, that means our total cost will be TC is equal to FC plus VC, and we know that VC is equal to Q times C, right? So this means our total cost will be fractional cost, fixed cost, plus the quantity times cost per unit. Okay, so we can use this linear equation to calculate the total cost. And this can be drafted using okay, we can draft this linear function using either the slope of the vertical intercept or one point. Let's say we are given this function and we are asked to draw the graph that represents this function. Let's say, for example, we are told that let's say, for example, we are given the total cost as 10 plus 2Q, right? And we are asked to draw or to plot a function, to plot this function. Then this is what we'll do. We'll take this given function and we'll compare it to the general total cost function, which is cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost, right? And if you compare these two, you can see that the fixed cost in this case is 10, and the variable cost is 2Q, right? So, and okay, that means we can draw this. If the fixed cost is 10, that means where Q is 0, we have the total cost as 10. So this means we have a point. We have a point 0 is to 10, right? Because if you put 0 here where there's Q, you'll get the total cost as 10, right? So this means we have the intercepts on the vertical axis as 10. So let's say we have 10 here. Okay, to draw this function, this linear function that's represent this equation, you need 2 points. So, and another thing that you can do is to give yourself, let's say you will ask yourself how many, or what would be your total cost if, let's say, 10 units was produced. Meaning you'll give yourself any value for Q and you'll use that Q to find a point on that graph that you need to draw. And then you'll just combine your points. Okay. For example, right now we have this point, which is, we said it's 0 is to 10. So we need another point because we said this is a linear function, meaning we'll have a straight line. So just 2 points are enough here. Okay, let's say we take 10. We let our Q to be 10. If we let our Q to be 10, so we'll go back to our equation and substitute 10 where there is Q. When you substitute 10 here, you will have, okay, this is 20 plus 30 plus 10, it's 30, right? So this means we have 10 is to 30, right? So, okay, let's say we have 5, 10. No, let me just put 10 here and put 5 and put 15. This means we have another point here. If this was 30, and then we can combine these points, these 2 points. And if we combine these 2 points, this graph represents this function that we were given. So that's how you will plot a linear function, a linear graph, if you are given a linear equation. You just need to find 2 points and then combine those 2 points. Do we have questions for now? Yes, no?
Nothing for now, thank you.
Okay. So remember, we said the aim for any business is to find the profit, right? And we said before you calculate a profit, you need to know the amount that you'll spend on your production, and you need to know how much are you going to make from your business for you to know the profits. And we said the amount that we will spend, that we will need to start to produce any product is called cost, right? Any amount that we will give up for us to get our products into the market, it's called cost. And then now we need the amount, we need to know the amount that will gain from our products, meaning from our business, for us to be able to calculate the profits that we'll make after we manufactured, produced, and sell. So, and that amount is called revenue, right? So the amount of money that a storekeeper will receive from selling a certain product is called total revenue. So we'll use TR to represent the revenue. Okay, the total revenue is calculated by multiplying the price per unit by the number of units sold. Okay, we'll use small p to represent the price for any product. And we said we use Q to represent the unit or the quantity of our product. Okay, and now they're saying the total revenue is calculated by multiplying a price per unit, which is P, by the unit sold, which is Q in this case. So, for example, suppose we are told that to produce, or okay, the product is sold for 50 Rand, right, per unit, and we are asked to find the total revenue function. Okay, we are told that product is sold for 50 Rand, and we are asked to find the total revenue. Okay, we said a price per unit, we'll use P to represent that, right? And then we said we'll use Q to represent the unit sold. So we don't know Q, right? And we know P. And we said the total revenue is the price per unit multiplied by the unit sold. And we know P, which is the price, it's 50 Rand. And remember, we are asked to find the function. If that's the case, that means our total revenue will be 50Q. If we are given maybe this kind of information and we are asked to find the total revenue function, then you are allowed to leave your answer like this. Now, suppose we are asked to draw the graph that represents this function, which is the total revenue. Okay. If the total revenue is equal to 50Q, this means we have our slope as 50, which is the dried end. And if we are given a function like this, this means the vertical intercept is 0, right? Remember, to find the vertical intercept, you need to substitute, you'll have to substitute 0 here in Q, right? Because going back here, that's how we find the vertical intercept, which in this case was the fixed cost, because we let Q to be 0, and when Q was 0, our total cost was 10, right? Which is this, because we had TC is equal to 10 plus 0 times 2, and this is 0. So this means the total cost is 10, which was the vertical intercept here. And again, we go back to this function. If we let our Q to be 0, then that means our total revenue will be 0 again, because we'll have total revenue is equal to 50 times 0, and 0 times any number, it's 0, right? So this means we have our first point is 0, is to 0. And we said our slope is 50. So we need another point for us to be able to draw this linear function, which is 50q, right? So you can just let q to be any number. Let's say we let our q to be 5. If we let our q to be 5, we'll have total revenue is equal to 50 times 5, right? Which is 250. So this means we have 2 points now. We have this one, and we have 50 is 2 to 50. Let's say we have 0, 0 here, and let's say we have 50 here, and we have 250 here. So this point is here, which is 50 is 2 to 50, and we have this one, which is 0, is to 0. Then we just have to draw a line from that 0.1 to 0.2, and this is our linear function that represents this given total revenue. So yeah, that's it. Then you can label your axis. Remember here we had Q. Yeah. So this means this means the total revenue that will be received from selling 5 units. Okay, I substitute 5 here. So we have 5 is 250. So this means the total revenue that will be received from selling 5 units of our product is 250. So that's how you interpret this graph. And here we said we have a point which was 10 is to 30. Ne? Then let's say you were given just a graph and you were asked to interpret it. So you were going to say the total cost that will be spent in producing 10 units will be 30, maybe 30 rand. It depends on the units you were given, but usually we use rands. Do we have any questions for now before we move on? Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
I lost connection, so I'm just only getting what we are currently doing now, but I didn't get the I think the last one that we were busy with was the TC equals to 10 plus 2Q before I lost connection.
Yeah.
If you can just maybe show me that one before we move on.
Okay. All right. We'll repeat it. But guys, if you have a problem with network, it's fine. You can just go through the recordings. You will all have access to the recordings. Just
Okay.
okay. Here they said we are told that a product is sold for 50 rand, right? And then we are asked to find the total revenue function. And we said if the product is sold for 50 rand, that means our price, which is P, is 50. And we said the total revenue is calculated by multiplying the price per unit, which is P, by the unit sold, which is Q. So we have total revenue is equal to P times Q. And we know P we are given as 50. So this means our total revenue would be 50Q, right? And yeah, you can, if you were asked to determine the total revenue function, then this would have been your answer. But then in this case, I said, let's draw a function too. Let's say, suppose now we are given 50Q, the total revenue. Guys, please make sure your mic is muted.
What am I thinking?
Okay, so we have our total revenue as 50Q. And then I said, if we are asked to plot a function of this total revenue, which is the linear function, then you need to find 2 points, right? You first find the vertical asymptote, which you will obtain that vertical asymptote by letting the quantity to be 0. And if we let our quantity, which is Q, to be 0, we substitute Q here, that means our total revenue is 0 too. So we have 0 is to 0. Then I said, to find another point, our second point will differ, because you can just let Q to be any number, but then the shape of our graph will be the same, even though our points will differ. Ne? In my case, I chose Q to be 5, and I said if I let Q to be 5, then our total revenue would be 50 times 5, which is 250, right? So we have 2 points, 0, 0, and 5 is 250. Then I draw a line to combine those 2 points. Is that fine? Do you still have questions? Okay, I guess not. Okay, yeah, now we have our total cost and we have our total revenue. And remember, the aim was to find the profits. And I said before you calculate the profits, you need to know the total cost and the total revenue. Because the profit is the amount that will remain after the total cost is subtracted or deducted from the total revenue, right? Okay. First, you will need the money to to produce any product. Then you will sell that product to get the total revenue, right? Then to calculate your profit that you'll make, the profit will be the difference between these two. Meaning you will subtract the total cost, the money that you will spend, from the amount that you will receive after selling the product. And another thing, a company's success usually is measured by its profit that is made. So the profit is calculated by subtracting the total cost from the total revenue. This means we will use this equation to calculate the profit. We have total revenue minus total cost, right? And we will use big P to represent profit, because remember, we use small p to represent the price. So just make sure you're careful between the two. But sometimes I write profit in full, but sometimes I just use capital letter P to represent the profit. And remember, the total cost is equal to the fixed cost plus the variable cost. So this means we can again write the profit as the total revenue minus the fixed cost plus the variable cost. Okay, it's either you use this or this to represent the profits, but you still get the same thing, because remember, this is the same thing, is equivalent to this, right? Okay, you need to know 3 things about the profit. We have 3 cases. We have, okay, case 1, it's when the total revenue is equal to the total cost. Case 2 is when the total revenue is greater than the total cost. And the third case is when the total revenue is less than the total cost. Okay, when the total revenue is equal to the total cost, our profit here will be 0, will always be 0. So, okay, when the total revenue is equal to the total cost, we won't make a profit here, because the money that you'll spend to produce your products will be equal to the money that you will receive after you've sold your product, right? So that means you won't be making any profit, because remember, a profit is the difference between the two. So let's say you spend 500 to maybe produce and sell cups, and then after you've sold all your cups, you get 500, right? So meaning these two are the same. And we said to calculate the profit, we'll say the total revenue minus, okay, we'll say the total revenue minus the total cost. So now it's like you have 500 minus 500, which is 0. So if these two are equal, then we won't be making any profit. Our profit will always be 0. And we say, if this is the case, we say the company breaks even. Okay, this is breaks even. So, okay, here's the thing. Sometimes they won't say, you won't be told that the total revenue is equal to the total cost. Sometimes they will say, calculate the profit or find the profit function when the company breaks even. And if you are told like that, you should know that, okay, you'll take the total revenue and equate it to the total cost, and then you simplify that function, right? Let's say, for example, you are told that, okay, let's go back to to that equation we were using. Suppose we are told that the total cost, okay, the total revenue is equal to 50Q, and let's say the total cost 2 is equal to, oh, it must be 50Q. I don't know how to put this question. But in this case, like this, you will be asked to find, they might ask you to find Q. Let's say they will say find Q or the profit at when the company is at breaks even. If that's the case, you'll take these two, you'll equate them. If you're asked to find Q, you'll equate them and make Q a subject of the formula. And then if you were asked to find the profit function, you will equate these two, and then you'll simplify and say Q is equal to 0. Let's say maybe you were asked to prove, maybe to show that the company is at breaks even. You'll just take these two and equate them and say it's 0 because they will cancel off. All right, so that's how you'll prove that the company is at breaks even. Okay, but my point was that sometimes you won't be told that these two are equal. They will only tell you that the company is at breaks even, and if that's the case, you should know these two. Okay, let's say maybe we are writing a multiple choice. Now, let's say they ask you to find a profit, but then they tell you that the company is at breaks even. So, from here, there is no need for you to keep on calculating the profits, because at breaks even, you know that the profit is equal to 0. So you can just choose 0 from the given possible solutions. So you see, in that, if you know these two, in that case, you'd be saving time. You can just use your time to calculate something else, maybe another question. Okay, and then I said our next case is when the total revenue is greater than the total cost. If this is the case, you should know that the profit is greater than 0. So if you see that the total revenue is greater than the total cost, and then you are asked to find the profit and you get a negative profit, just know there's something wrong that you did, because this one is greater than this one. And if that's the case, your profit should be positive. It must be greater than 0. And if this is the case, we say the company makes profits. So this is when profit is made. And then we have a third case whereby the total revenue is less than the total cost. Okay, here it's when the money that you will receive after selling your product is less than the money that you spend to produce or to manufacture your product. And if that's the case, your P, which is your profit, will be less than 0. So if your total revenue is less than the total cost and you are asked to find the profit and you notice that your profit it's positive, that means there's something wrong that you did when you were calculating. That means you have to start afresh, because if this is the case, your profits must be negative, which means it must be less than 0. And if this is the case, you say the company makes a loss. Do we have a question? Okay, suppose we are told that a firm has a fixed cost to produce a certain kind of pair of shoes a firm has a fixed cost to produce a certain kind of shoes amount to 1,500. So we are given that the fixed cost is equal to 1,500 pay. Okay, we'll make a fixed cost of 1,500 per week. And then we are told that a cost to produce a pair of shoes is 50 Rand. And another thing, we are told that these shoes are sold for 150 each pair, meaning P is equal to 150. Okay, guys, please make sure you don't confuse these two. This one is the price per each unit, meaning in this case, per each pair of shoes or a pair of shoes. But then this one, this 50 Rand, is the cost of producing each pair of shoes. So you will use this amount to produce one pair of shoes, but you will sell your pair of shoes with this amount. So this do not confuse the two. Okay. And then the first question is to write the total cost function and the total revenue. And the next question is what is the total cost if 500 pairs are produced? Is to find the total cost if Q is equal to 500. Then the third question, how many pair of shoes are produced when total revenue is 3,250? The next question is to find Q, given that the total revenue is equal to 3,250. And then the last question, D, they say find the profit if 100 pairs of shoes are produced. Okay, we are asked to find the profits if Q is equal to 100. So if you can be able to answer these questions, that's okay, because these 4 questions are the summary of all the concepts we covered today. Remember, we covered 3 concepts: the cost, revenue, and profits. So if you are able to answer these 4 questions, let's say even just the last one, because to answer the last one, you need to know this first one, and to answer this one, you need to know the first one, and to answer this one, you need to know this one. So if you can't get these questions correct, that means you will lose marks for the last question. And usually on the exam, you won't be asked this, because for you to get this correct, you need to know this. Yeah? So they will just ask you the master questions, then the sub questions. But for assignments, you will have these questions for marks, like 4 marks, 5 marks. But for the exam, these questions would be like 1 mark, 2 marks. But this one, because if you answer this question, that means you'd be able to answer this. So this one contains like 7 marks. It has more marks on the exams. So you need to go through your activities and make sure you answer these questions correct. And there are solutions on your thingy. Study guide at the back. Yeah, okay. Because we still have time, can we please take 2 minutes? The 2 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes to answer these questions. Then after 5 minutes, we'll do it together. And then we'll call it a day. Do we have questions? Okay, it's 2 minutes past 7. Yes.
For question A, what is the quantity?
Why do you need a quantity? For question A, you are asked to find the function. So you don't need the quantity when it comes to the function, because your function will be given. Okay. Your total revenue would be the function of Q, which is the quantity, and your total revenue would be the function of Q, which is your quantity. So you don't need to know the value of Q. Okay, in this case, you are asked to find the equation that you can use anytime, no matter how much Q is. So you don't need the Q here. You just need to give the function.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to attempt this question. Then we'll do it together after 5 minutes. Then we call it a day. Okay, we'll start at 9 minutes past 7.
Hi, ma'am. I just noticed
Yeah.
your laptop battery is actually low. I know it's off topic, but I don't know if you're experiencing load shedding or something. Did you notice your laptop is about to die?
Oh, it's my battery. I need to charge it. Thank you. There's a pair of shoes. This is my birthday. Please make sure your mic is muted. Guys, please all the time make sure your mic is muted, because if I disabled it on my side, you won't be able to even ask questions. Okay, are you guys done? Yes, no, do you still need extra time?
Yes, just
No,
1
ma'am, can you
minute.
please give us 5 minutes?
Okay.
Ma'am, for question C, the value of TR is it's 3,250.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, please let me know when you're done. Okay, do we have to continue or you still need more time?
Can you continue, please?
Okay, the first question was to find or to determine the total cost and the total revenue. What did we get as the total revenue?
Hello?
Anyone?
Hello?
Yes. Anyone who calculated the total revenue? Okay, this is where you guys, you have to unmute your mic and say something.
75,000.
Just 75,000?
7,500.
7,500 or 75,000?
50 times 1,000.
No, 75,000.
Okay, just this.
It's
Remember, we are finding a function here. And a function is a dependent and independent variable.
Hi, I got 150Q.
152?
No, 150
150Q.
times Q.
150Q?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone with a different answer? Okay, guys, remember the total revenue is P times Q, whereby P is the price per unit and Q is the quantity. And we, on question A, okay, going back here on the data that you were given, we're given the fixed cost and then the price and the cost per our product. We were not given Q. So, okay, we know P is 150. So this means our, okay, we don't know Q, we know P, right? So this means our total revenue will be, where there is P, we substitute Q, which is P, which was 150. So this means our total revenue would be 150. We don't know Q. So our total revenue will be 150Q because it's 150 times Q, which is 150Q, right? And this is our total revenue. Okay. Are we all following, right?
Yes.
Then the next question was to find the total cost. What did we find as our total cost? Anyone?
Hi,
1,500.
500 plus 50Q.
Yeah, I got the same answer.
Okay. Anyone with a different answer? Okay, that means we can move on to the next question because we all got this answer, right?
just a moment, ma'am.
Okay.
So in the assignments or exam, how will these, like, how will you guys ask these questions? Because I think for question A, when you were asking us for answers, I was a bit confused. You know, I gave a total revenue instead of a function. So I just want to understand how will you guys, yes? You understand my question?
Yes, I do get your question. You said you gave a total revenue instead of a total revenue function, right? Where did it get Q, which is the quantity? Where did you get on A, where did you get a value for your quantity? Remember, we said a total revenue is the price per quantity times a quantity, right?
Yes,
Where
got
did you get
the right
a value
function
for this one?
No, I got the right function, which is 150 times Q.
Yes.
Yes, I got the right function. It's just that I wanted to understand the way you guys will ask. Because I think Yeah, I think I will understand better if you do mention the word function.
I did say function. It's just that I cannot write word by word because we are trying to save time. So that's why I did read the question then, but then I wrote TC. Then what is TC? What is TR? But I did say what is the function.
Okay. Okay. All right then. I get it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
A quick question. For the TC total cost, no? When you gave us the equation, Mos, you said total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost, no?
Yes.
And then it can be changed to fixed cost plus, and then you open your brackets with Q times C, no?
Yes.
Now, the question that I have, no, is
Yes.
if you say the cost that you gave us was 50 Rand, ne?
Yes.
So if I times that, I'll still get 50Q, right?
Yes.
Which is still in the brackets, ne?
Yes.
But now where I'm getting lost is, aren't you supposed to multiply whatever is in the brackets with your fixture cost?
We have this.
Or is it my understanding of maths? Because then it confuses me. Then I'm confused. Then because in my understanding, if you have brackets, technically means you must multiply, or when you put that 52 to remove the brackets.
If this was fixed cost,
yeah,
bracket variable cost, which is C times Q. Then you are correct. You are going to multiply the fixed cost with anything that is inside the bracket. But here we have this operation, which is plus. So this means we can only multiply this bracket by anything here, by any constant here. And the constant here is 1, since there is nothing. So 1 times 50Q is 50Q. Because anything multiplied by 1 is that, right?
Okay. All right. That's where I got the wrong answer then. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Ma'am?
Yes?
I don't know, but I'm a bit confused here. Because you said total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost.
Yes.
Yes, and then the variable cost is the price times quantity.
No, it's the cost times quantity. Remember, I did even emphasize that you guys, you shouldn't confuse E and C.
Okay.
This one, it's that amount that you use to produce one product, like each unit. Okay, in this case, we said we are selling shoes. So this C, it's that amount you will use to produce each pair. And then this P, it's the amount that you'll use to sell each pair of shoes. Remember, in TC represent the cost, and we said the cost is the amount that we will spend. So you shouldn't have the amount that you'll receive after selling here, because here we are only spending, right? So that's why we have C. So you like there is no price here that you'll receive or you'll sell your product with, because we are only spending here. But in the revenue, we are selling, we are receiving, right? It's the money after the product, after we have the product. It's the money that we'll receive after selling. So, and we said this P is the amount, it's the price per each unit, right? So I'm not sure if I do make sense, but that's how you can differentiate between these two. This one that you'll put here on the total cost is the one that you will use when, okay, it's the one that you lose when you are manufacturing, you're in a process of manufacturing or producing. Then this one that is on the revenue is the one that you'll obtain after you have your product, after you've sold your product.
Okay, I hear you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think I got confused with that. That's why even my equations are wrong.
Okay, but it's fine now.
Yes.
Then the next question, we are asked to find the total revenue if, okay, what is the total, oh, B, what is the total cost? Oh, because I asked revenue here. Let me ask, you've calculated the revenue already. So it's like, what is the total revenue if you sold 500 pairs of shoes? Like if, what is total revenue if Q is 500, right? And you said the function that represents the total revenue in this case, you said, okay, total revenue, you said total revenue is 150 Q, right? And now they tell you that Q is, which is the quantity, it's 500. What is the total revenue? So you just have to substitute your quantity here on your total revenue function. So you'll have 150 times 500, right? That should be your total revenue if the quantity is 50. So this means after, oh, the quantity is 500. This means after selling 500 pairs of shoes, the amount that you'll receive after selling them, it's 500 times 150. Right, what did we get? It's our answer.
75,000.
75,000.
Okay. Did we all get the same answer? Okay. Then the next question was okay, the next question was to find the quantity if the total revenue is 3,250, right? We said the total revenue is 150 Q. And now they tell us that the total revenue is 3,250, and we are asked to find Q, right? If this is the case, if you come across anything like this, okay, you'll go back to your function which represents the total revenue. Where there is a total revenue, you'll substitute the total revenue with this amount. So this means we have 3250 is equal to 150 Q, right? And we are asked to find Q. So the next step after substituting the total revenue back to the total revenue function is to make Q the subject of the formula, right? For us to have Q as the subject of the formula, we just have to divide by 1,500 on both sides, 150 on both sides. So that's 150 and 150. They will both cancel out, and we'll have our Q is 3250 over 150. What did we get as our Q?
21.6.
21.6 to make it 22 pairs.
Okay, 21.6.
7.
Okay, it was 21.6 something.
7.
0.67 when you round off.
Okay, because I prefer we leave our answer in two decimal places. So don't make it 22, just leave it as 21.67. Unless I said give your answer to the nearest integer, then you leave your answer as 22. But if I tell you to calculate Q, although the quantity cannot be a fraction like this, because this is non-real. Okay, this is it is a real number. Okay, my point is you can't have 1.5 shoes, right? Because we are selling a pair of shoes here. Because in real life, we can't have something like this. But then to be on the safe side, just make sure you leave your answer like this, unless I tell you to leave your answer to the nearest integer. Okay, then the last question. We were asked to find the profit after selling 100 pairs of shoes, right? Okay. Q is equal to 100, and we are asked to find the profit, right? And we said to calculate the profit, we should subtract the total cost from the total revenue. So we have the profit, which is P, is equal to the total revenue minus the total cost, right? And we said our total revenue is, we said it's 150 Q, right? And our total cost was, can't remember. A 1,500 plus 50 Q. So we have 1,500 plus 50 Q. Okay, so this means our profit, the function that's represent the profit would be 150 Q. Okay, now you can multiply -1 by everything that is inside the bracket. So we have -1 times 1,500, and this gives us -1,500. Then -1 times 50, we have minus 50 Q. Then the next step is to simplify, because we still have like terms, right? And if we collect like terms, we'll have 150 Q minus 50 Q. We have 100 Q minus 1,500. Okay, this is the profit function. Remember, we were not asked to find just the profit function. We were asked to find the profit after selling 100 pairs of shoes, right? So the next step is to substitute hundreds where there is Q. And if we do that, we can say P of hundreds is equal to hundreds. Then you put hundreds where there is Q, then you have minus 1,500, right? And this is
8,500.
8,500. Did we all get this profit? Anyone with a different answer? Okay, do we have questions for today? Yes, no?
I do. I'd like to find out if in the exam, will we